towards other beings. And that's just going to hinder you from being able to have wonderful relationships with everyone around you. The mind's craving, desire, attachments, wants, and expectations, if those are getting met, the mind will like this person. But then if your expectations aren't getting met, you will dislike this person. And you can eliminate all of this because it's a real burden to carry around this anger, hatred, and ill will towards others, where you can have love and kindness for all beings. And part of that transformation is occurring in the meditation, but then you're going to need to go out into the world and be loving and kind with those around you. So this meditation is essentially like filling up your gas tank to be more loving and kind, and then go out into the world and practice that through your intentions, speech, and actions. This meditation, I'm going to start with some chanting to ease us into the meditation. Then I'm going to come in with some guidance for breathing mindfulness meditation. We'll just be doing that for just a brief period of time. Then I'm going to move into affirmations, where I'm saying affirmations out loud, like, may I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. I'm going to be doing that on the out breath. And when you hear that, you would be able to do that in your mind on the out breath, which is going to help to transform the mind. Now, I'm going to be doing affirmations based on all of us and guiding you. So I'll be doing about 6 affirmations. But when you do this on your own, you would like to customize it for yourself. You're going to hear me say things like, may mom and dad be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontentedness. This isn't to change mom and dad. You can't actually change other people through your meditation. This is to transform your mind to be more loving and kind. So when you're around these different types of people, that you can be more loving and kind. And that's where your transformation is really occurring. You're going to need to customize this meditation for your specific needs when you're doing it on your own, where if there's certain people that you do have anger and hatred towards, you can customize this meditation with rings for those individuals. But you'll see how it's structured by me doing this together with you today and guiding you kind of in a general way. After the loving kindness meditation, we're going to go back to breathing mindfulness, and then we're going to come out of that with some more chanting. It's kind of like a loving kindness sandwich, where in the middle, you've got your loving kindness, the lettuce and tomatoes, the breathing mindfulness meditation, and then the outer edge, which is the bread, holding it all together, is the chanting. And then after our meditation, that's where I'm going to open up to any and all questions that you guys have related to the path to enlightenment. Anything you'd like to ask about the teachings of the Buddha, your meditation practice, any challenges you're having in day-to-day life, you're welcome to ask any and all questions that you like. So if you'd like to join for meditation, you might pull up a meditation cushion or chair or whatever it is that you'd like to use for meditation. I'm going to start with the chanting, which you're welcome to join in on, and then I'll come back in with the guidance. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Makewa Bhutang Makewanang Apivateyami Savakato Makevata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Makavato Savaka Sankho Sanghang Namami Namo Arhasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Arhasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Arhasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagawa Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vichacharanang sammuno สกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสัตตาวามนุสนังพุโตภาควติ Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Then I'll be back with more guidance on loving kindness meditation. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Repeat these affirmations in the mind. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May mom and dad be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May my family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors all be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who have harmed me be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all those who I have harmed be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May all beings, wherever they reside, be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. Now return back to breathing mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Breathing in and out. สัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเขวาโหตังมหาเขวันนังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเขวัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเขวัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาเขวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังโหโตภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone in class today. This was loving kindness meditation. This is going to gradually transform your mind away from the anger, the bitterness, the hostility, the animosity, the resentment, and even all the lesser versions. But remember that you need to go out into the world and be loving and kind as well. It's not just meditation. You can't meditate your way to the elimination of anger and hatred and all these other discontent feelings. So what I'm going to do is open up to any and all questions that you guys have, whether you're in Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom. You can ask questions by putting those into the comment section, or if you're in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. Okay, I don't see. Oh, there's Leo. Okay, Leo's got a question or more. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. A question comes to my mind. I was talking with my mother. She did a trip to Australia, and she did a lot of photos with her mobile phone. And I wondered, because normally she has a very nice camera and is taking a lot of pictures with the camera. And she told me that the camera was stolen like a half year ago, maybe a year ago, from her on her wedding. She married again a year ago. And I wondered a little bit why someone is stealing her camera, because I don't remember that she ever stole something intentionally from someone, or I never saw it and so on. Mm-hmm. But I know it's not black and white, but normally what I understand is that someone who's stealing a lot, other people are stealing from them too. That's what I understood. What about that? You have an idea?
Yeah, what I would share is that just because someone's stealing from you isn't the result of you having stolen in the past. It's not like an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It's not, the natural law of karma isn't that way. remember, it's a sequence of events. It can be from these kinds of things. If you've done a lot of stealing in the past, you can have people that are stealing from you. That is possible, but it's not every single situation that that's the case. The thing to keep in mind is that you haven't been with your mom in every single situation that she's been in. And if you ask her if she's stolen in the past, she may have stolen. Most people have at some point. They've stolen something. Like when we were children and things like this, we used to steal, right? So most of us have done some amount of stealing at some point in our life. But you shouldn't ever think about the natural law of karma as like an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, because it's not that way. Also, what I'll share with you is that let's just say nobody has never stolen ever in their entire life, which is rare, but let's just say that's the case. And somebody had somebody steal something from them. This is still possible because of a few things, because it's our decisions that lead to any particular result. Let's just say that we make a decision that wasn't necessarily the wisest to leave a bag at a table, and we got up and put our tray away at a food court in a mall. Somebody could potentially steal that bag, right? And this is just as a result of the unwise decision to walk away with the bag laying there, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that this person stole in the past. This can happen in these kinds of situations too, because what the natural law of karma is showing you is the cause and effect, and that when we make certain decisions, it will lead to a certain result. So this type of decision could lead to the result of someone stealing from us. And then the third thing that I'll share is no matter how enlightened you are, no matter what type of being you are, there's 5 things that are unavoidable that you will still experience: sickness, aging, death, loss, and destruction. So even when you're enlightened, there's the potential that you could lose material objects. This is going to happen. Because of impermanence, you're not going to be able to have your material objects with you permanently. So even an enlightened being, the Buddha himself, would experience sickness, aging, death, loss, and destruction. So the natural law of karma is helping you to be able to understand that it's our decisions that lead to any particular result that we're experiencing, and that we need to look at the decisions that led to any particular thing that we're experiencing. That way it provides us the ability to cultivate wisdom and make different decisions and experience different results. But you always need to keep in mind, it's not an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, that there's a sequence of events here. And even no matter how enlightened you are, you're still going to experience these 5 things.
Yeah. No, it makes for me completely sense. It's normally what I think. What if someone left their bag somewhere? Someone could steal it. But what I now understand, or what I understand, is that if someone is doing more unwholesome things, more unwholesomeness is coming back to him. So if someone is more often stealing, other people will more often steal from them. That's what I can learn out of it, right?
There is that potential, because someone who's stealing, and they're stealing a lot, they're going to have a lot of craving, anger, and ignorance. They're going to have a certain amount of ill will towards others, right? So that those pollutions are there. So that means the people that they're surrounding themselves with and the people that they're spending time with are also of that same mentality. So that means that it's not like a mystical, magical thing that people are going to automatically steal from you. It's that your decisions to steal are coming from your own craving, anger, and ignorance, which means that the choices that you're making about who to surround yourself with, those types of people are also going to have craving, anger, and ignorance, and they're more likely to steal from you as well.
Okay. So, for example, if I'm not stealing and so on, but I'm visiting friends who does that type of things, and they will steal from me, they could steal from me the same as someone who is stealing a lot.
Yeah, let's just say
There's
that
no difference. It's just that I'm in environments where people often do this kind of things, and so it's more that it's not like that somehow they have a energy. They see, or they somehow look at me and they see that this person is stealing often, and they have the urge to steal from this person too. It's not that, right?
No, it's not that. It's decisions that you're making. So let's just say that you haven't stole your entire life, again, which is very rare, but let's just say that's the case. And now let's just say you're making decisions to spend time around people who use drugs and alcohol because your wisdom is such that you don't understand that this would be unwise. And now you're spending time around friends who are using drugs and alcohol and things like this. And now because of their habit of using drugs and alcohol, they steal from you. So the decision that you're making that's leading to people stealing from you is that you're making decisions to spend time around people who are using drugs and alcohol. It's not because of your stealing, because you haven't been stealing, right? So that's where the natural law of karma is explaining to you the cause and effect of it's your decisions that are leading to any particular result, but it's not an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So you shouldn't just assume that because somebody stole something from your mom, that means that she has stolen in the past, but it doesn't necessarily mean she hasn't stolen in the past either. So what she would be wise to do, and of course you're not her, but if she ever asked you, is to look at what were the decisions she made that led to that result. And now she can improve that. And even as an enlightened being, you can experience people stealing from you. It's possible because of you're going to not be able to eliminate the loss and destruction. Because when I say that by the time you get to enlightenment, you've extinguished all your unwholesome karma and you're only experiencing wholesome karma, it doesn't mean everything's going your way in the way you want it to go. That's what people hear when I share that you're only experiencing wholesome karma and you've extinguished all your unwholesome karma. People think like, oh, that means everything's going my way and everything's happening my way. That's not the truth. That as an enlightened being, you can still experience loss and destruction. But the difference is that you won't be discontent because of it. Right? So you can still experience these things. So for example, I was traveling in 2022 and somebody stole some money from me. And the way that this happened is I was in the back of a taxi. It was the first time that I was in this particular country. And when I went to get out of the taxi, the door wouldn't open. It wouldn't even budge. It was like locked shut. And even though I unlocked the door, it wouldn't unlock. And the taxi driver said to me, oh, you need to reach outside and pull the door and open the door from the outside. And I had my bag with me in front of me. And they said, give me your bag and you get the door. So I handed them my bag and I reached over and opened the door. And I didn't think of the fact that this person would potentially steal from me. But what happened is this individual had their taxi rigged so that this could occur. And when I was reaching over to grab the door, they reached in my bag and took out some money. And now they gave me my bag back and I left. Right. So in this situation, I was just trusting, thinking that, oh, this person's not going to, I wasn't even thinking about somebody stealing from me because here in Thailand, that type of thing would be extremely rare. If I gave my bag to a taxi driver, they're not going to rifle through the bag and try to find some money or what have you. But nonetheless, this happened in this particular country that I was in. So looking back at it, now, okay, I see like, oh, somebody stole this money. Okay, I understand. But in that situation, I wasn't discontent. I wasn't frustrated or agitated or annoyed or anything like that. I just decided, okay, in the future, as I'm traveling, I'm going to do something different with the money and how I'm handling this to ensure that this is less likely to happen. But you can still experience it. Even my son and I, we were traveling last year, and he put some money into the safe at a hotel. It was just some small money. It was like 1,000 baht or 700 baht or something like this. And I suggested to him not to do that because I know that sometimes housekeepers have the codes for the safe and they can go in and take it. And that's exactly what happened. When we were out of the room, we were in the swimming pool, we saw the housekeepers come into the room and they were making up the room. And when we went back to the room, we checked the safe and the money was gone. There was 300 baht that was missing out of the safe. So these kinds of things can happen. And even when you're making a decision to put it in a safe and you're like, oh, this is safe. Well, the people there, this particular hotel, of course, we're never going to go back to that hotel again because we had this experience and we wouldn't ever recommend this hotel to anyone. And that's the gamma of this hotel, that it's not getting regular recommendations. You can see that the hotel's starting to get run down because it's not being run very well and people aren't experiencing wonderful experiences at the particular hotel. So you can have these kinds of things occur, and you just need to look at what were the decisions you made that led to this particular situation. Because one of the things I shared with my son before he put it in the safe is I said that would be the last place I would put money, because that's exactly where people are going to look for it when they come into the room. And I know that people have those codes sometimes. So you need to just look at the decisions you're making. You're not going to also be able to figure out the gamma of somebody else. Like your mom losing that camera. While you can look at it and try to figure it out and try to see the natural law of Gami here, because you don't know every decision your mom's made through her entire life, you're not going to be able to see clearly 100% of exactly what led to her losing her camera. You can see your Gamma 100% because you know the decisions that you're making. As you become aware and become wise to the natural law of Gamma, you'll be able to see your Gamma, but you can't always see other people's Gamma in all situations because you don't have full insight into all the decisions that they're making.
Yeah, just a little bit wondering, or what I have in mind is that you said, the example you just gave, I think you said, because when you were a young guy, you were stealing a lot, and this is your karma coming back to you. I somehow have this as a memory. What is about that? Is it true or is it?
So when I was young, yeah, I did a lot of stealing, and in my early adulthood and kind of mid adulthood, I had a lot of people stealing from me too, a significant amount. There was one time where I had $50,000 worth of merchandise stole from me. At that time, I was in business and had a lot of money and all this kind of stuff. There was about $50,000 worth of things that got stolen from me at one particular time, right? But then I got to a point where I didn't experience any unwholesome things coming back to me for an extended period of time. And I noticed the condition of the mind that I didn't have any discontentedness whatsoever for multiple years. And at that point, I knew that I had extinguished all my unwholesome karma. So when I experienced the loss of money in that particular country, that the taxi driver stole the money, I knew that this was one of what the Buddha refers to as the unobtainable, that you can't obtain the elimination of sickness, aging, death, loss, and destruction, that no matter who you are, he said, any aesthetic, even God in Mara, can't eliminate sickness, aging, death, loss, and destruction. So when you go an extended period of time where you know that your mind isn't experiencing discontentedness and you know you've extinguished your unwholesome karma, because you don't experience any discontentedness, and that's been an extended period of time, multiple years, then you see that you still are experiencing the occasional loss or destruction. You know that this isn't your unwholesome karma. This is one of the unobtainables. And this is where you need to be able to see that unwholesome karma, in eliminating your unwholesome karma and only experiencing wholesome karma doesn't mean everything's going to be going your way. Right? As you know, I still experienced a motorbike accident at the beginning of this year in February, right? That's loss, that's destruction, that's sickness, right? These are unobtainable things. You are still going to experience this because of impermanence. You can't avoid it. But in terms of what I was experiencing before, is I was experiencing regular people stealing from me. It was like consistently. It was like every 6 months, once a year, people were stealing from me. And this was from the decisions that I was making at that particular time of my life and the people that I was surrounding myself with at that particular time of my life that was leading to that. And then as I cleaned all that up, now people don't steal from me, right? Because I don't have those kinds of individuals around. But occasionally you can still experience this kind of thing. And that's where you'd like to make wise decisions to resolve that and eliminate whatever decisions you are making that's leading to that particular result.
I just have a little bit struggling sometimes to understand karma in this way that, for example, I told you that when I was younger, I was driving a train. I often try to avoid the cashier or the person who's checking the tickets. Mm-hmm. So I did some kinds of things that he doesn't meet me or something like that. I did this for some time, and then happened this thing that the employment agency, or however you call it, wanted 2,000 euros from me. And you said this could be your unwholesome karma because you did this kind of, you have been stealing from the government in the past. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand the karma here because I'm not surrounded by unwholesome people in this situation. I was in Thailand. I wasn't stealing at that time. So I don't understand the relationship here.
So whenever there's unwholesome results occurring like that, and the mind is unenlightened, there's some unwise decisions that the mind is making. And what you and I talked about at that time is that you didn't fully understand the law, and you were making decisions to acquire income from the government during a time of unemployment where you, not understanding the law, sounds, if I remember correctly, you did something that you acquired money that shouldn't have acquired. Because at this particular time in your life, you probably weren't taking your time to look at the law, make sure you thoroughly understood it, and then made decisions based on it. And that's what led to now you having the government ask you for 2,000 euros. So what you would like to do in that situation is you would like to say, okay, I see what I did here. I was moving too fast. I was just trying to get money. I didn't take my time to understand the law. I was talking to different agencies without fully understanding. So in the future, if I ever need to experience this situation again, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to review the law. I'm going to talk to each agency individually and make sure that this doesn't occur again. So this is the wisdom that you cultivate in the process of that. And just like when you were in the subway, I think it was, or the train, that you were hopping over the turnstile in order to pay. Same thing. You were in a hurry. You weren't taking your time to make wise decisions. So this mental quality of craving and ill will and ignorance that led to you jumping over the turnstile and not paying for the train is the same mental quality that led to you experiencing what you experienced with the government. So it's not anything mystical or magical that, because you did this, now all of a sudden this thing is occurring. It's because of the decisions that the mind is making through craving, anger, and ignorance. And now you can see the trend of similar decisions being made in each situation, and it's producing certain results for you. In the first situation, you were stealing something, but the qualities of mind that it took for you to do that is the same thing that occurred over here when the government was asking you for 2,000 euros. So you need to be able to identify that and clean that up and make better decisions in the future. And that's where the Eightfold Path and training the mind is going to help you to be able to do that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you. I have a few other questions, but I don't know if maybe Richard has some more.
If you have questions, go ahead. Your mic's open, Leo. I just arrived from working, and I came home a few days, and I thought now I will play games next 2-3 days on the phone and on the laptop. But is this maybe unwise to do that because it's leading to more complacency? What do you think about that? Everything you do, you would like to do in moderation, right? There's no harm in playing video games, but if you're indulging in it for 2 or 3 days without doing anything else, this is going to affect the mind, right? So you like to do things in moderation. So if you've been away from video games for a while because you've been working, now if you're going to play video games again, fine, play video games, but just do it in moderation, where you need to learn how to put it down. The problem isn't that the mind's picking up the video games and playing with it. The problem is that the mind's not willing to put it back down once it picks it up. So what you would be wise to do is pick it up, play it for 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then put it down and walk away, go do something else for an hour or 2 or 3, and then come back and play video games for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, and then put it down and go do something else for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever. This trains the mind to let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And then you get better and better at doing that. there's times where I play video games, I think the most I play is maybe like an hour at most. There's this one golf game that I'm playing now that it takes about an hour to play it. And then at the end of that, it's done and over with. But there's other little video games that I play here and there for 5, 10, 15 minutes every now and again. But my mind is able to put these things down. So the harm isn't playing the video game. It's the indulgence in it and doing it for an extended period of time. And you're not balancing your life with all the other needs that you have, like eating, socializing, spending time meditating, studying the teachings of the Buddha, these kinds of things. You would like to balance it with all those kinds of things. And you're not just absorbed in this activity, because your mind will tell you, oh, I'm just going to do this for 2 or 3 days and then I'm going to get back to my regular life. No, your mind's not going to do that. That 2 or 3 days is going to turn into 5, 6, 8, 10 days. So that's why, like here at the beginning, rather than giving into your mind's craving and indulging in the video games, do it in moderation and build up your life where you can balance these things, and then your mind can be much more peaceful and joyful that way, and it won't slip into the complacency.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Then I had a situation where I was visiting a friend, and he had 2 other friends there too, and two other friends somehow. But he did a joke to this one friend. He told him that I'm his brother. So I came there, and this other friend asked my friend, "Oh, I didn't know that Leo looked so similar, so different than you." And I didn't really know what to do in the situation. So I just didn't I didn't make like, yeah, I'm his brother and so on. I just didn't say anything about that, But I thought, like, is it better to say like, no, I'm not his brother. I think he's making a joke with you, or is it not my problem? If my friend is doing this joke, okay, I just don't respond to that, and they have to deal it out later.
Each situation is different. If your friend is doing the lying, your friend is the one who's producing the unwholesome karma. If you chose to go along with the lie and you were supporting it through your own speech, then yeah, you're producing unwholesome karma too. But choosing to do nothing doesn't produce unwholesome karma. Like if this person came and started saying those things and you just walked away, you haven't produced any unwholesome karma in that situation because you haven't done anything. You haven't made any decisions other than to walk away. You haven't caused any harm. So if you would like to point out that you're not this person's brother, you could. There's no harm in that. You would just like to use right intention and right speech and right action when you do it. And then if you chose to walk away, there's no harm in that either. But standing there and going along with the lie, now you're causing unwholesome karma for yourself. If I was going to address this, it's important that you understand that this other person has some craving. That's why they are lying. That's why people lie, is because there's craving in the mind. So you would like to, if you're going to address it, speak in a way that doesn't trigger their craving, or that least is likely to trigger their craving. So I might say something like, well, I only have 2 brothers. One is named Felix and one is named, I don't know your other brother's name, this, right? And then, so you're not pointing out to this person that, hey, this person has lied, they're lying to you. You're just stating what is true. In that way, this person's personal existence view isn't getting triggered and you don't have any issues. So whether you choose to do that or not is a choice for you to make. But if you're going to choose to point something out, I would speak in a way that doesn't trigger this person. So that's where you can say, well, I only have 2 brothers. I have one brother named Felix and I have one brother, Michael. I don't know your other brother's name, Michael. And these are my 2 brothers. And then this person's going to look at you and look at that person and like, what's going on? And that's where you might just choose to walk away, right? And you don't have to do that, but that is one way to address it, rather than like, hey, I think your friend's lying. I really am not his brother. This is kind of like gossiping and slandering the person and diminishing their reputation, where this can produce unwholesome karma for you. Whereas if you just state what is true, which is these are my 2 brothers, and this is their names, you haven't damage the person's reputation in speaking in that way.
If I'm just staying there, not walking away, I'm just staying there, but not going into that. But this is still somehow causing unwholesome karma to me, I think, because the other person might think like, hey, why he didn't said anything for 2 hours, 3 hours? He could have said that he's not right.
Yeah. If it was me, I would say something, because I'm not interested in people propagating lies with me involved. And if I'm standing right there, I'm going to say something, but I'm going to say it in a way that is less likely to trigger that person's attachments. But just staying there and saying nothing isn't producing any unwholesome karma, because if that girl, I think it was a girl, right? If that girl, or boy, whoever it was, would like to know whether you are truly that person's brother or not, they can ask you, because if they hear from this other person that you are their brother, and they just assume that, and they form that perception in their mind, that's a choice that they're making. You never said that you were their brother. If it was me, like I said, I would address it. And make sure that this person understands I'm not that person's brother, because I wouldn't be interested in lies circulating around me. But if you did choose to say nothing, you aren't producing any unwholesome karma there, because you haven't said anything that is producing unwholesome karma, and that person is just choosing to cling to their perception.
Okay. And the last question I would like to ask is... it's more out of interest. I wanted to know what the separation of the body, what importance does this have on this path? I remember that I had this back in Thailand in a monastery before I met you in the path. There I had this separation of the body, mind of the body, where I was looking from up to the body. But since then, I haven't had this anymore. And I thought, is this some importance that I have it?
Yeah, what the Buddha calls separation of the mind and the body, that is death. When the mind and the body are fully separated, that's the end of this life. What you are experiencing is where you were able, this being Leo, was able to see that the body is one thing and the mind is something completely separate. It helps you to cultivate that wisdom, because oftentimes people don't have that wisdom. They think of the mind as being the brain, where in reality, it's not the brain. The brain is the physical organ. The mind is non-physical and non-tangible. And when people are meditating and they see themselves from afar, when the mind is like looking down at the body, this helps you to be able to see that the body and the mind are two separate things. And it also helps you to see that there is no self, that this body is not you, this mind is not you. This is helpful in that regard. It helps you to cultivate the wisdom of these things. And now you can start to operate through that wisdom.
But is it like, hey, Leo, there's in a few, or you would, if I'm going closer to the jhanas or first stage, will I be into this, will I have this experience again? Is it necessarily for the path, or is it that some people never have that? And they get to enlightenment. You can.
This particular experience isn't one of the attainments, right? It's not something that the Buddha describes as an attainment. It's just an experience that you have along the path. The Buddha refers to this as direct experience. But he doesn't talk about this particular direct experience. You will have many experiences along the path to enlightenment that the Buddha nor I never teach you about. This is one of the ways that we know that you're advancing on the path, is that you'll start experiencing things, and then you'll start telling us things that you're experiencing, and then we'll kind of know where you're at on the path. Sometimes people's conceit can arise during this time because they think that, oh, the teacher didn't teach this thing, and I'm experiencing this thing, I must be special. Where it's just that we don't teach it because we're not interested in conditioning your mind to be able to experience that thing. But when you start experiencing it, we know where you are on the path. So it's not considered one of the attainments. Whether every single enlightened being experiences this or not, that's something that I wouldn't be able to determine, because I don't know every single enlightened being in the world. But every single enlightened being would know that the body is one thing and the mind is something completely different. They would understand that. But whether they had this particular experience to be able to accomplish that cultivation of that wisdom, I wouldn't be able to discern that.
Okay. Yeah, I think you did for answering the questions.
Yeah, you're welcome. Looks like Richard has a question. Go ahead, sir.
Just a quick question, David. Metta, do you have a specific area in your work, in your books, where you cover metta, sort of, as a subject?
Yes. In Volume 1, Chapter 14, I describe what loving kindness is and what it antidotes. I also talk about it in Chapter 8, which is the 3 poisons. But in Chapter 14 is where I basically teach it as part of the 4 healthy mental states. But Chapter 8, it's also mentioned as an antidote to anger. And then I teach it in terms of the meditation and how to do it in Chapter 11.
So that's chapters 8, 11, and 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. I don't see any other questions anywhere. So I'm going to end by just thanking all of you guys for being interested to learn and grow on the path to enlightenment. And as you would like to learn more, there's plenty of classes for you on Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays. And then there's various courses and retreats over the months and years. You can find all of this on our website at buddhadailywisdom.com. On Sunday, I'm going to be in Chapter 10 of our book, Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. This chapter is titled, What is Merit? This is a unique type of wholesome karma that you'll need to generate in order to be able to get closer and closer to enlightenment. So I'm going to explain what that is and help you to understand how to cultivate it and why it's important for you. So next Wednesday, on Wednesday, I'll be guiding students in breathing mindfulness meditation and opening up to any and all questions that you guys have. So thank you very much, and perhaps I'll see you guys in a future class. Take care and be well. Sawadee Kap.
Welcome back.
Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.